Just a word about tonight's agenda. We have a pretty light agenda tonight. This is a session prior to town meeting. This is Tuesday, May 29th. So we'll be going through our items, business items, and when we get to the warrant articles for possible reconsideration, the only one that I know of that we need to talk about is Article 23, which is renaming Devotion School. Over the weekend, Stanley Spiegel convinced the moderator to allow what's really a technical correction, changing some of the wording. It doesn't change any of the substance, but it's before the advisory committee, and they're taking it up. They're taking it up right now, and we're not going to take it up until they're done, so we can consider what they've done, and with the goal potentially of coming in with one motion. I think it would be good, if possible, to come in with one motion. So we're not debating two versions of substantively the same thing. So let's get to our miscellaneous calendar. And this is a long list of temporary licenses, and I'll ask public comment. Anyone here for public comment? Okay. Thank you. Usually I have Mr. Kleckner on this side of me,
And I'm busy eating, so I didn't do it.
Right. Okay, so I'll ask select person
Franco.
Green.
It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Is he wearing green? No, he's not. No, he's wearing green.
You guys are hard to tell apart.
And I thought I was getting old.
We're having too much fun up here. So, I'll ask select person Franco to help me and make sure everything's in order. So I'll move that we grant temporary all kinds alcoholic beverage sales license to Pine Manor College for a bat mitzvah to be held on Saturday, June 9th from 6 to 11 at 400 Heath Street. I'll also move that we grant a temporary all kinds alcoholic beverage non-sales license to Lars Anderson Auto Museum for a 50th birthday party to be held on Saturday, June 9th from 5:30 to 11 at 15 Newton Street. I'll move that we grant an all kinds alcoholic beverage sales license to Hellenic Association of Boston Annunciation Cathedral for a Jack and Bill baby shower.
Ooh.
Jack and Jill baby shower.
Does that mean that they're having both?
No, it means that they're having both men and women at the event.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I never heard that either. Okay.
Jack and Jill is also a black service club that we were members of. I'm not sure if it's related to this, but
I suspect not.
But anything's possible.
Well, this Jack and Jill baby shower is going to be held on Saturday, June 9th from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. at 162 Goddard Avenue. I'll also move that we grant a temporary wine and malt beverage sales license to Pine Manor College for a corporate dinner event to be held on Thursday, June 14th from 6:30 to 10 at 400 Heath Street. I'll also move that we grant temporary all kinds alcoholic beverage sales license to Pine Manor College for a bar mitzvah to be held on Saturday, June 16th from 6:30 to 10:30 at 400 Heath Street. I'll also move that we grant temporary wine and malt beverage non-sales license to Lars Anderson Auto Museum for a retirement party to be held on Saturday, June 16th from 4:30 to 8:30 at 15 Newton Street. I'll move that we grant a temporary all kinds alcoholic beverage sales license to the Public Library of Brookline for a tee-off at the library event to be held on Saturday, June 16th from 6 to 9. I'll move that we grant a temporary wine and malt beverage non-sales license to Lars Anderson Auto Museum for a MAWLE Awards reception to be held on Tuesday, June 19th from 5:30 to 8:30. Also move that we grant temporary all kinds alcoholic sales, all kinds alcoholic beverages, non-sales license to Larsen and Sonora Museum for a corporate reception to be held on Thursday, June 21st from 5:30 to 10:30 at 15 Newton Street. Move that we grant all kinds alcoholic beverage sales license to Pine Manor College for a wedding to be held on Saturday, June 23rd from 5 to 10 p.m. at 400 Heath Street. And also to grant a temporary wine and malt beverage license, non-sales license to Larsen and Sonora Museum for a corporate summer party to be held on Wednesday, June 27th from 2:30 to 7:30 at 15 Newton Street. And lastly, of the temporary licenses, I'll move that we grant a temporary all kinds alcohol beverage sales license to Pine Manor College for a wedding to be held on August 4th from 5 to 10 p.m. at 400 Heath Street. I don't think we've ever had this many temporary licenses all at once.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, okay.
So
Person Franco?
the paperwork appears to be in order, and the police department agrees and sees no reason to deny any of these temporary alcohol licenses.
Okay, so I'll move that we approve all these temporary licenses. All those in favor? Select Person Franco?
Aye.
Person Heller?
Aye.
Select Person Hamilton? Select Person Green?
Aye.
Select Person Hamilton?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay. And we have some transfers from salaries to a whole bunch of different accounts totaling $66,500 for the fire department. Chief Sullivan, what's happening?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, John Sullivan, Fire Chief. As you see before you, the fire department's in need of several transfers from the salary account to cover the remaining costs for the year and some past due costs that are not covered within the budget for a number of our utilities. You see $12,000 for electricity. We're going to be able to transfer a number of dollars from other accounts into that account as well within the 5-3 exchange or 5-6 exchange to cover the rest. $4,000 for natural gas, $3,500 for water, $6,000 for diesel fuel, and another $2,500 for gasoline. In addition to that, the fire department is requesting $16,500 for the uniform and protective clothing and equipment account. This particular transfer, along with the one that was added late today, and I'm sorry about that addition, but it just came to my attention this afternoon to also to that same account, but from the other, the account from clothing and uniform allowance, the $9,000 to cover the overruns for the 16 firefighters that were hired last year. The budget only allows for the coverage of 10 sets of uniforms and turnout gear for 10 members to be hired each year, and we hired 16 last year, so that's for the overruns in those accounts. And then $22,000 for public safety supplies in that account, totaling $66,500. And then the second request in this was from the education and training account, $12,000 also to go to public safety supplies. The public safety supplies that are in question here is a total of around $32,000, $22,000 of which is for thermal imaging cameras, 2 thermal imaging cameras which need to be replaced, as well as medical bags, some tech rescue equipment that we just received and finished a grant from the federal government for $270,000, and that exposed some equipment needs that we need to be able to even put that training to use to the tune of about $6,000, and then some various tools and hoses to make sure that our reserve engines, which end up being more time on the road than off the road, are equipped with what they need so that we're not having to have so much downtime in between when we take the truck offline and then have to transfer everything over to kind of a stripped down engine company and then try to get everything back over again when that returns. So those are the requests I have.
Okay, and that covered Also, item N? Yeah, okay. Any questions from the board? Sure.
We have a way to spend those dollars, like the contracts are already in place?
Yes. Yeah, the invoices are all in hand, and those have been sent, or in the process of being sent over to the Public Safety Business Office.
Excellent.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll move that we, I'll take the next two items in kind of an omnibus vote. So the first is a transferring from permanent full-time salary, $66,500 to electricity, $12,000, natural gas, $4,000, water, $3,500, diesel fuel, $6,000, gasoline, $2,500, uniforms and protective equipment, $16,500, and public safety supplies, $22,000, all within the fire department. Also move that we transfer $12,000 from the education training fund budget to public safety supplies. And I'll also move that we transfer $9,000 from clothing uniform allowance to uniform and protective equipment. All those in favor, please say aye. Select person Franco.
Aye.
Select person Heller.
Aye.
Select person Green. Aye. Select person Hamilton.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Building department personnel, onto our main calendar. Mr. Bennett, I see you have a retirement.
Yes, we do. Good evening, Dan Bennett, Building Commissioner, requesting authorization to hire a local inspector. This person will fill the position that's being vacated by Jim Kirby. He's been an inspector with the town for 25 years.
Any questions from the board? Yeah.
My recollection is that the building department's minority employee numbers are not low, but out of line with other departments. That's my recollection. So I sort of urge you to use this hiring authorization to make sure that the pool of applicants is as diverse as possible, so there's some potential to increase the diversity numbers.
I will do that. I do work with HR, and I do send the job description out to various building inspectors groups and other trade groups that are similar employment. So we do try and open that up to all.
I read the job description here, and it seems as though it's a general building inspector position, not somebody with particular expertise in handicapped accessibility or any of the more sub-categories of building inspecting. Is that correct?
Yeah, so generally, a building official has to understand AAB in its total fashion with respect to residential, commercial, or any way that threshold might get triggered.
Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? I'll move that we approve the filling of a local building inspector vacancy in the building department. All those in favor, please say aye. Select person Franco.
Aye.
Select person Heller.
Aye.
Select person Green. Aye. Select person Hamilton.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go forth and hire. Next item before we get to the warrant article is memorandum of agreement with the Mbta on the high school project. So who wants to talk about that?
I will do it. Let's see, somebody, I don't think, Jonathan Simpson, who's the member of town council's office who's been working on this, is unable to come tonight, but I did have a conversation with both him and our outside counsel, Doug McGarra from Foley Hoag, about this agreement.
Speak up a little bit for us in the back row.
Okay. It's a little hard to shout over some teenagers, but I'll do my best. There are a couple of technical Scrivener errors which we have in our packet, but I checked the execution copies, and that's been corrected. And those are on page 2 in number 4, Roman numeral 4, and page 4.
And number 5.
In number 5, change the word, instead of 60 and then parentheses 45 days, we're going to change it to 45 written out and then 45 days in both cases. And that's what was negotiated. So this agreement is really, as the outside counsel has described it to me, an umbrella agreement, and it doesn't button down everything. In fact, it buttons down not very much. But it's important because it binds the T to go forward with us, and it binds us to go forward with the T. And that's a big step. It's hard to, in many projects, it's hard to get that. And so we're very happy about it. We feel that we've had good reception so far, and we hope that that continues. On the back page of the agreement, you'll see a schedule, which also lays out when we can begin to do the construction. And the way this works is that there usually is we're purchasing the air rights, but in purchasing the air rights, basically what we do is going to make some station improvements. And that's how we do the exchange. So we will be submitting a plan in the fall for those station improvements, and then we'll get comment, and we'll keep submitting higher levels of the plan and get comments back from the MBTA. So we would hopefully commence construction in station improvements in June of 2019, and we would be able at that point to also begin construction of the 111 Cypress building, and that would be completed sometime in the fourth quarter of 2021. That's a schedule that we'll keep an eye on because it is the MBTA we're working with here, and it's a very, very complex project with many, many moving parts. But that's the intention. So I recommend that we execute this, and I believe that we've gotten the best deal we could negotiate at this early stage.
That said, there are a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
So we're walking into that with our eyes open. Normally, if I would feel a little uncomfortable with ends this loose, but I don't think we have a lot of choice from what I hear. So.
Well, again, this is more of an umbrella. It's more of a framework. It's not meant to tie down every single piece. We still have a lot of work to do in order to, for instance, design the station. Which is an important aspect to the MBTA, and the structure that's going to go over the tracks as well. And that, the devil is always in the details. So we will march forward and hopefully get it all buttoned down in terms of the design, by a year from now.
Can you just talk for a second about the process that's going to go into the station design? I'm not expecting specific dates, but I know that this is something that there are many people who are interested in, and I want to...
Right. Well, let me just say that I know nothing about station design, and I don't think anybody on this board does, or, in fact, what we need in the architect...
I will agree that I don't know anything about that either.
So our architect, William Ron and Associates, will have a subcontract with a station designer, someone who's done this before on many different occasions, so that we will know what the issues are and hopefully get the best product that we can. As I say, we have outside counsel, and we chose him because, again, he's very familiar with the process. He's negotiated a lot of these, and he's an expert in the field. Obviously, we want to make the station accessible, and how that's done, I don't know the details. We have no plan at this point because we haven't, the architect has not was waiting for this document to actually sign on the line with the station designer.
But it's going to be a public process over the next
It will
year. and-
definitely be a public
Yeah.
process, yes.
Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? So I will move that we approve and execute the memorandum of agreement with the MBTA in connection with the Brookline Hill High School expansion project. All those in favor, please say aye. Selectperson Franco?
Aye.
Selectperson Heller?
Aye.
Selectperson,
Aye.
Selectperson Hamilton?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. No, we're ready to do the warrant articles. Okay, so let's talk about Article 23. Yeah, come join, so our vast TV audience can hear you, Mr. Spiegel. Yeah, see, there's...
And
cameras are right over
everyone
here.
Watch us.
And I'm here. Thank you, Stanley Spiegel from Precinct 2. I had submitted this substitute motion, which I believe you have before you, in order to make a technical amendment to the previous language, the existing language as of now, in order to correct some, I guess inaccuracies one might call, or inappropriate language, in that the existing language basically directs the school committee to do something, namely to come up with a new name for the devotion school, and also directs a future town meeting to adopt such a name, or at least to consider it. And this town meeting has no authority to do either. We can't tell the school committee what to do, and this town meeting can't ordain what has to take place at another town meeting. Can't even tell it what to consider, much less what action to take. So I submitted language which would change it to what we can do at this town meeting, which is to A, change the name of the devotion school immediately to the Coolidge Corner School, which was what the original language also did. And secondly, to urge or ask that the school committee consider a new name after going through appropriate process that they'll determine, and then urge the naming committee to consider said name, presumably among others, if there are others, and then bring it to the next May's annual town meeting. And that's doable, and that accomplishes the same result that the existing motion can accomplish. It can't do the things it can't do, but it can change the name of devotion school to Coolidge Corner School, which the substitute does, and it can encourage the school committee to come up with a new name. That's what this does, is what the other thing does. So there's really no substantial change, which is the only reason the moderator allowed it to go forward. He would not have allowed a substantial change at this point. But he did allow this because it's easier to understand, it does nothing different, it cleans up some language that really doesn't belong in the motion, in my opinion, and it is, evidently, because he's letting it go forward. The advisory committee just voted 18 in favor with none opposed and 2 abstentions to change, to amend its previous vote to support this new so-called Spiegel substitute motion. And my hope is that the select board will do the same and go in with one motion. I had spoken to one of the co-petitioners, Deborah Brown, who's here to speak for herself, but I believe she was content with this, and if not, she certainly can say something different. But at least she didn't seem hostile to this idea, and I hope she'll be supportive as well. So I think that's it.
Would you care to speak, Ms. Brown?
Yeah.
Come on up and trade places, and so our vast TV audience can hear your words.
My name is Deborah Brown. I'm one of the co-petitioners for warrant Article 23. At this juncture, we're okay with it. Resign. Let's keep this moving.
Okay. How do we feel? We're okay?
So I have a question. If one town meeting cannot direct a future town meeting to do something, why did the moderator allow the original form of the proposal?
I think you'll have to ask him that.
A question best asked of the moderator.
I'm shocked that he would allow something like that through.
Well, there were, 36 warrant articles this this time.
Yeah, well, we won't go
I'm
there.
not,
He was jet lagged from his trip.
I'm not.
Okay, so I will move, I have to move reconsideration of Article 23. So all those in favor of reconsideration, please say aye. Selectperson Franco?
Aye.
Selectperson Heller?
Aye.
Selectperson Green?
Aye.
Selectperson Hamilton?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and I'll move that we recommend favorable action on the so-called Spiegel Amendment, which will now be the AC or Select Board Amendment, I guess.
Oh,
All those in favor, please say aye. Selectperson Franco?
Aye.
Selectperson Heller?
Aye.
Selectperson Green?
Aye.
Selectperson Hamilton?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, thank you. Let's go forth and have a productive debate.
But not too long.
Productive and civil. I like civility. Okay, last item of business is Police Department personnel, and we have some student officer appointments. Chief Morgan?
Mark Golden, Brooklyn Police Department. More of a housekeeping matter here as far as the title of these officers assigned as student officers. I know we forwarded the name before us, the Shinabi Hatari, Sean Driscoll, Paulo da Silva, Marshana Wright, Seth Muchas Kangas, Sean Hayes, Estano Marty Jr., Christopher Rodriguez, Joseph Jahan, Sean Turpin, Sean McGoldrick, Timothy Burt, Kavi Jagannath, Ryan Silman, Juan Pina, and Jason Holland. You can take note of those 17 individuals. There was 9 of them, out of the 17, 9 were white males, 2 were black males, 1 was a black female, 1 was a West Indian male, 1 is an Asian male, 2 are Hispanic males, and 1 is a Latino male. I'm asking you to appoint them as officially as student officers, as the titles.
Okay. So then the next step after this is what?
Well, actually, I'll be looking to come back next week on one of these officers who has been completed the Mbta Police Academy, has worked as an Mbta police officer for 20 months, so actually we'll be looking to come back next week to swear him in as a full-time police officer, probationary officer, and the rest will be back in front of you, hopefully, the academies.
Okay. And that's when they come and it's a big,
They get pinned and
Okay.
yes.
cool, okay. So any questions, comments?
Oh, it might be unrelated, but I remember us talking about 2 gentlemen that we were debating whether to hold spots for.
Yes, we still have to, we have to held those spots. They're still actively in the military, so upon their release from active duty, we have to, at that time, they still want to seek appointment here, we'll start the process in time.
But they're not part of this batch.
No, they're not.
Mr. Green?
Could you go over the breakdown, racial breakdown again?
Sure,
You read it too fast, I'm slow.
I'll slow down. 17 total student officers, 9 are white males, 2 are black males, 1's a black female, 1's a West Indian male, 1's an Asian male, 2 are Hispanic males, and 1's a Latino male.
What's the difference between Latino and Hispanic?
The person that was from Brazil, speak Portuguese, they considered Latino. His family is from Brazil.
How many are women?
One black. But our overall department is well represented by females at this time.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? So I'll move that we appoint the following applicants as student police officers, and I will apologize if I mispronounce any of them. I am famous for mispronouncing names.
Even simple names like Green.
Right?
He doesn't mispronounce it, he just gets the person wrong.
Well, that's mispronouncing.
Okay, Timothy J. Novak Jr., Shania Hitari, Sean Driscoll, Paulo De Silva, Messina Q. Wright, Seth Muchas Kangas, Sean Hayes, Gustiano Mbta Jr., Christopher Rodriguez, Joseph Trahan, Sean Turpin, Sean McGoldrick, Timothy Burt, Kavi Juggernath, Ryan Silman, Juan Pena, and Jason Holland. All those in favor, please say aye. Select Person Franco.
Aye.
Select Person Heller.
Aye.
Select Person Green.
Aye.
Select Person Hamilton.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I think that concludes our business for tonight.